Coming to you from the dining room table of East Barbary Lane, we bring to you a special episode of Full Circle, the podcast. I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr. Martha is on special assignment, which is a fun way of saying she's not here. But who is here today is a fabulous musician, artist, individual, good friend, and we are so glad that Shayne Frederick is in the house with us. Hey, Shayne, how you doing?
Yay! What's up? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. It's Friday. Hallelujah.
Right. All day.
Right. So first off, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit and play with me today. We met basically out and about.
Right.
I believe the first time I spoke to you, it was at a karaoke, and you were singing some Temptation song, and I was like, okay, this one is singing all of the parts, like all of them, and I had to come over and tell you how fabulous you are.
Right. Thank you.
And yeah, and then I found out, of course, you're that fabulous. This is what you do. This is who you am.
Right.
So you are, it almost seems like reductive to say you are a professional musician, but so much more than that. You have your most recent album, King Suite, is available everywhere that you can enjoy fine music.
That's right.
Talk to me a little bit about your music and your stamp in Philadelphia music.
Right. So it's funny. I forgot about that karaoke thing. I don't like karaoke. I gotta admit. And
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like I get karaoke, and I realize now that some people take it very, very seriously. Um, but because I do music professionally, or and make money doing it, like for work, I don't like singing the tracks. Period.
Mm.
And it's like for me, it's like going to the ballet and then walking up to one of the dancers and being like, "Hey, oh my God, I dance too! Look at this! Look what I can do! Look what I." That's kind of what it feels like. Um,
Fair.
and probably that Temptation song is the only like one of the probably the few times I can count on one hand that I've ever done karaoke in my entire life. So it's surprising to me that I actually was singing that day. Um, and you were there. So I guess it was designed to happen that way. I don't know. That song was The Way You Do the Things You Do, written by Smokey Robinson, of course.
Yes.
And it's a song that I do in real life. It's fun. A lot of people know it from a lot of different generations, yada yada yada. So it's one of those things that I can get you from the 60s, I can get you in the 80s. People have redone that song. It's kind of one of those things that everyone kind of can connect with over a series of generations. So it's a song that I do for that reason. Kind of like some of the Frank stuff. It kind of it's a tie that binds us all. One of those pieces
Right.
that connects a bunch of people. But yeah, I'm mostly a jazz guy. I'm influenced by R&B stuff and gospel stuff and classical stuff, and even some rock stuff. If obviously pop, everyone is quote unquote influenced by pop, but my concern is not really pop music. Never really has been, honestly. So
Hmm.
I just try to find those ways to connect to people in a pop world.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about King Suite. I listened to it this morning, and first of all, it's fabulous. It is one of the best produced albums I've heard in a minute,
Thank you.
especially a jazz album. Talk to me about the inspiration for that project.
And I thank you for that because I'm the producer. I'm the executive producer of that joint.
Well, then you did a good job.
Right. I mean, when you do stuff yourself from the ground up, and I have been for a while, I do feel like many artists should feel. I would hope that their most recent work is their greatest work, and then I know that my greatest work is still yet to come. So for
Mm,
me, it's a process, of refining what I'm presenting to people in a recorded fashion. Live performing is one thing. I found out the hard way. Live recording is one thing, but being a
mm,
studio recording artist is a different thing. So, um, and this is not my first project, but I've learned a lot about being in the studio and figuring out how to distill a moment, how to purify the water and present that, you know, I guess live performing is like creating and establishing a beautiful moment. Studio is like perfecting that moment and saying, okay, that's
right.
it. This I can't get any better than this right now. This is as close as I'm going to get to the vision. Please accept this, my burnt offering. Um, took a while, took some money. Again, I'm the executive producer, and I arranged or co-arranged pretty much everything on the album. I hired all the people, paid all the people, bought the studio time, decided on the repertoire, um, and just kind of oversaw the whole thing and kind of creatively designed the way that I wanted it to go, and had a lot of co-conspirators with me, and had them on board. Bought people some food, bought people some whiskey, all the things,
Right.
to create this artistic package. The premise of the pack of this album, King Suite, is honoring and exploring the work of Nat King Cole. Um, some
Love that.
some more popular tunes, some less popular tunes. I wanted to make sure that I didn't just do the easy, all the songs that everyone knows that Nat did. In fact, if you're not aware of Nat King Cole and his legacy and his epic stature in the world in music, in American popular music and American jazz music, or jazz period, not American jazz, the origin of jazz. Um,
Yeah, because American jazz is kind of redundant.
it is very redundant, right? Right. But like he was in the cut because he was the cut. The cut was he.
Mhm.
Uh, I wanted this project to just be a project of great music that had a lot of different musical influences, regardless of whether or not you even heard of Nathaniel Cole's, you know. And then if you actually knew if you had studied his discography, you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. That's a cool take. Wow. Is that an
Right. Yeah.
accordion?
Yeah. Like growing up, like I consider myself to be pretty familiar with the songbook of Nat King Cole because my father had this like it was either 4 or 6 tape collection, and we would listen to it in the car all of the time. And there were some cuts off the album that I was not familiar with, and a couple that I was like, "Oh, that was Nat King Cole." I know, like
Yeah.
I forget what language it was that you did it in, but
Yes.
perhaps.
Spanish. Quizás, quizás, quizás. Yep.
Yes, okay.
And he
I
sang
was
Spanish as well, actually.
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was one of his tunes.
Absolutely.
Because I came across that song as the opening theme from the British sitcom Coupling, so I don't be knowing.
Right. And I think that was it. So part of this challenge for me was being an archivist. I didn't necessarily grow up focusing on Nat King Cole. Of course, we knew him and his iconic voice and indelible, and he's like your favorite jazz artist. Secretly, he was a fabulous pianist and vocalist, and very influential. From he people did his stuff from Shirley Horn to Carmen McRae. First black man on
Mm,
television in that regard, had
mhm.
a variety. Like it was all this. So his impact was so deep that it was like subterranean. You wouldn't even know, but everything is built on that, layers and layers. The Wayne Brady of it all, the Arsenio
Right.
Hall of it all, right? Um, but in that process, I decided to review and listen to everything that he recorded, and then I went through and selected um, songs that I felt would fit this narrative arc that I was trying to create based out of that material. And I didn't want it to be hokey, didn't want it to be corny, I didn't want it to be easy and obvious. And then I
It
wanted
just
to situate
you
those
succeeded.
pieces, you know what I mean? And then I wanted to situate those pieces globally, um, throughout the diaspora, the African diaspora, and say, okay, imagine if this song was influenced by Afro beats, or influenced by
Mm,
Haitian music, or influenced by Argentinian music, and these are all places where Black people are. We're in South America, of course. We're in the
right.
Caribbean. The African influences, and of course, just straight ahead jazz stuff. Um, and that was not necessarily his approach, because we didn't necessarily have that worldview 70, 80 years ago, the same way we do.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful album, and it showcases that voice of yours. I mean, I heard a little bit of you've got this like little rasp at the end of some of your notes that gives me John Legend, but you're a world better singer. You give me, of course, Nat King Cole. Um, you give me um so many different people. Who would you say were your biggest influences?
Hmm. Good question.
PJ Morton, that's another one I was trying to think of.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, so maybe, and I mean, I appreciate all of that. Maybe PJ and I may connect. I mean, and he's doing his whole thing. I haven't really even begun to study or like listen to all the stuff that he's offered the world. But I mean, I hear he's doing great things. Obviously, he's killing it.
Right.
I think we connect probably on a gospel or churchy level, because I did um, grow up listening to music in the Black church, and come from a family of musicians and people who perform gospel and other types of music. So I can see how our sound, and also the John Legend thing, that would be a core element somewhat. And John has gone kind of less mainstream R&B, a little bit more pop, I think, in
Mm,
the latter half of his career. And that's just a commerce and an artistic decision. I'm not mad about that for him. But at the core of John Legend, he's a church boy who played piano at some Baptist church or whatever, and started singing, kind of, sort of. That's an element in my understanding of his musical development, and much of that was actually based out of Philadelphia, from my understanding, while he was
mhm.
attending Penn,
Yep.
and kind of was on like the open mic circuit or whatever. But for my influences, again, because I've listened to so much for so long, and I never really wanted to emulate or try to emulate. I did this project because people would say at the end of some of my performances, I guess people bring to their perception what they know. So everyone, oh my God, you sound just like, and it'd be like three or four different people. And I'm like, those people don't go together. But all right. So you want me to do a Nat King Cole thing? Cool, I can do a Nat King Cole thing. I don't wake up thinking about, what would Nat King Cole, how would he sing this song? That's not my approach. Again, I hate karaoke for that reason, because I think karaoke is about emulating a specific moment from a specific artist. And I think
Right.
the deeper you get into that rabbit hole of emulating someone, you start duplicating their flaws versus
Mm.
uncovering your own personal strengths in your story. So I never approach it like, ooh, let me sing this just like Nancy Wilson, or let me sing it just like there. And I've listened to, as someone who's studied this music, I've listened to everything that all my favorites have done. And I don't do it for the purpose of trying to copy what they're doing or mimic them, but to understand the information that they brought. Carmen McRae had one set of information. Sarah Vaughan had a set. Joe Williams, Billy Eckstein, Johnny Hartman. Everyone had a different set of information. They brought that to their work. And I like to hear if I like you, I want to hear everything you did. And then you run across the overlaps. Like, wow, everyone did this song, but they did it differently, which is how
Mhm.
I got into this. How do what differentiates you is the way you arrange it, your approach, your influence, all those kinds of things. Um, so that just gave me permission, actually gave me the assignment to be clear about the songs I want to do, the way I want to do them, what my motivation is for that song, what the story is, how everything around what my vocal is should accentuate that narrative in my brain. So I got to be clear about that. That's producing. That's that kind of thing. Uh,
Right.
so that was my approach to the project.
It's interesting you said you do your best to not try to emulate, because then you're emulating their flaws. Yet when you try to mimic another artist, that's doing a disservice to both of you.
Hmm.
You know, you're not allowing yourself to be your authentic self, and you ain't never going to be that person. So, you know,
Right. Give up that to give that up. Free yourself of that obligation. That's
that job has been taken.
right. And that person is dead. Dead. I say dead.
Right. They did that song so that you don't have to. Right.
Right.
So I saw that you are from you grew up in rural North Carolina.
That's right.
Where at? Where at?
A small town in Dublin County. It's called Warsaw, like Poland, Warsaw. But
Okay.
town maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 people in a county full of towns of like 2,000, 3,000 people.
Right.
Nowhere near. I mean, I think it's like an hour from Wilmington, maybe an hour in a different direction from Fayetteville. So the eastern side, but not the beach, not quite the beach, almost the beach.
Right. My family is from Wadesboro.
See, I don't even know what that is.
See? No one, even folks from the sticks in North Carolina, knows about Wadesboro.
Do you know what county Wadesboro is in? That'll give me a good reference point.
Anson.
See, I don't even know. There's like 100
See?
counties, I think, in North Carolina, but Dublin, I think, is one of the larger counties. But see, I don't even know what that's near. Carolina's kind of
Right.
big. It has three different like climates in it.
Right.
Anything from all the way up in the mountains to like the beach and stuff in between.
Right.
You know,
I just remember as a kid, because I haven't been since I was a kid, but I remember we drove from one end of the town to the other end, and I swear it was like 15, 20 minutes.
sure, sure.
So you go too fast, you miss the whole thing.
No, that's it. It's like a little hollowed out space in the middle of the woods, kind of a vibe.
Yeah, yeah, that. So how do you find the Philadelphia music scene in general, but the jazz scene in particular?
Huh. Um, because it's so storied, Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and even within jazz, it's like it's not New York, but it doesn't have to be New York. And once you get out of, some people have this really defeatist kind of underdog second. We need to be New York, but we're not. We hate New York. Like once you take the focus off of even
Right.
referencing New York, Philly had its own thing going on.
Oh yeah.
I think about the people who came through it, up to and including, of course, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone,
Mhm.
and that little fight with Curtis, Thelonious Monk, of course, John Coltrane, the Heath brothers. You can think of all the legacy people, the iconic people in the encyclopedia, on down to whoever, and including up to me, little old me. There's been a legacy because of, again, blackness, great Underground Railroad, black people, great migration
Mhm.
coming up the street from Nowheresville, North Carolina, or Nowheresville, Georgia, to the big North industrial center, bringing their culture, their art, their disposition, bringing the blues and the blackness with them,
Mhm.
and mixing and mingling on their way to wherever they're going to go. So there's a lot of history. I found it valuable to tap into that, to tie into that, to be clear about what that legacy looks like, because culture does not exist in a vacuum, and I can't be doing this music and now know who these people are. And
Exactly.
I think a lot of people go wrong because they want to do this music and they want to tell a whole different story and not reference the root of the thing. And I think that's dangerous and fruitless territory. But so the scene right now today, 2023, um, it is what you make it. I've been doing this work for 2 decades in one way or the other, different levels, trying to work my way up to top level me.
Hmm.
And it's been work. It's been time. It's been, jam sessions, and not just jazz, being in the cabaret spaces and being kind of like in the Broadway spaces and the piano bar spaces. I used to play piano bars. I would play them my way and do the stuff I wanted to do. But I would have people sitting around the piano and me be at the piano and having, I
Hmm.
guess, my friends who are talented singing with me. and I would be singing our songs. So I wouldn't be up here, a bottle of red, a bottle of white. I mean, I could do that. I don't want to do that though. And no shade to all those folks. And that's all the Beatles stuff and the all that. That's cool. And the Sweet Caroline.
Child, no.
Yeah, what I mean. There's a place. There's a different fireplace for everyone. You know.
I have my own personal reasons for hating that song, but we'll get into that later.
Right. I mean, but again, that was me coming up, 2008, 2007, hanging out different places, being on different microphones, being within different communities of people. Um, I've never performed. I was never asked to. Um, I'd never performed at Tavern on Kamak. There are piano bars in the room that have been here forever. And I know people who have, and I would pop in, and if I have musician friends who would play at Tavern, I would pop in, or Knock, I would pop in, which is why I, would start going to Knock, because I knew the guys. Now there are no piano people over there. It's crazy, but
Really?
zero.
I mean, I know it's been a minute since I've seen, but I just figured I kept missing it.
Nope. We all just kept missing it because it ain't none.
Got
Ain't none left. But that's the reason. Mostly, for me, the music has been the reason why I've popped into those places, specifically because I knew the musicians,
Right.
and I would go in to be entertained by them, to encourage them, drop $20, sing a song with them, just to be in that space because I like live music, and that looks like a
There's
lot of
nothing like
different
it.
things. There's nothing like
Yeah.
it, right? That looks like a lot of different things. So in Philly, that was me building a name, building a reputation, learning what repertoires I'd like to incorporate into my meanness. And so that's afforded me a lot of opportunities to be on different stages and performing completely different material because of the way I have collected the pieces of me musically. Um, and so that's been work. Again, that's 20 years of doing that. Hey, you should come to this spot. Hey, are you available? I want to hire you to do this. Hey, I didn't know you played piano. You want to play at my
Right.
place? Da-da-da. One thing leads to the other. The next thing you know, this year has been like Kimmel Center and, Welcome America Festival. And it's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I made all this up. I literally made all this up.
Yes. I love your for collecting the pieces of me.
Right.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You glean things from around you that you want to keep, and you get rid of things to make room for things.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. And so you are kind of stitched in to the art scene of Philadelphia. You are a professor at UArts,
Right.
which just makes perfect sense. How much interaction do you have with the dance folk over there? Because I know the dance department at UArts. I'm not familiar with.
Unfortunately,
Right.
it's not built into the system of the school. I happen to know people who know
Right.
people, because I know Tommy Wahid. It's a buddy of mine. I've known him for a decade,
Yeah, he's a good friend too.
15 years, whatever. But um, the school is not set up to be, they could definitely work on building community interdepartmentally because it's
You'd
like,
think that would be like, one of the first collaboration. No? Okay.
it's like dance, theater, music. It's very much like that. Even within the intra-departmentally, instruments, voices. It's so weird.
Mm,
It's so weird to me. Um, but I think it's because it is a college full of part-time. There are very few full-time faculty. And
yeah.
so people come in, their contribution is I'm working with this student, I'm doing this, I have this ensemble, and I'm out. Peace. It's not
Right.
there, if you don't have people really fostering that faculty level, then the students don't even know that that's a possibility of what this university could look like. If this looked
Right.
like a different, I think about my university experiences, and it was very intra and inter, and it was an Italian wedding soup vibe, and UArts is I'm gonna do my thing and I'm out, do my thing. I didn't build my career that way. The reason I had 20 people to call to be on my album is because I know people who do different
Right.
things. It's like I need.
Well, I started.
Go ahead.
I started asking, why do you think that is like? Is it because of everyone being working artists? But that's not really different from any other arts program in universities. Like you're a working artist, so why do you think it's so separated and segregated, for lack of a better word?
I'm not sure if that's top down or bottom up, how that
Mm,
could be fixed. But if it were top down, the issue, as I said, most of the faculty, almost all the faculty, I only know one full time person in my specific department who teaches voice. Um, and I think it's creating the culture of that in the institution. I mean, maybe students could create that, but they don't even know that they should.
they don't know what they don't know.
Right. Who's going to tell them how, this is, what a college experience could look like? Who's going to tell them that? They don't know.
Mm,
And the
right.
people who would tell them that are like, I'm in, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, and if everyone's part time, that makes sense because you're cobbling together your life.
And
Okay,
it
I
feels
get it.
very much like that. If you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to work with some great faculty, you're going to get what you get out of UArts. You kind of get what you put in as a student. It's very self driven. And
Yeah,
you could walk out being very challenged and um, feeling that the university owes you it if the luck of the draw has it such that you have not really worked with those impactful career shifting people. You'll miss the whole
right.
thing and you'll feel neglected.
Huh. Where'd you go to school?
So I started when I was 16. I went to Dartmouth College. I did 2 years there. I dropped out
Okay.
because I was 16 going to Dartmouth College, and
Right.
it it was not a timing issue. Academically was not an issue. It was all the other stuff, and it was hundreds of miles away from. Then I had moved to Philadelphia at that point, um, and so I came back, kind of reestablished my life, started working. I worked full time. Ended up starting what was going to be a 15-year career with the city of Philadelphia, doing nothing completely musical at all.
Mm.
In my job, anyway, I began to do music. I eventually finished school. I went to Pierce, right in Center City.
Okay.
That's where I finished my bachelor's degree in business. I do not have a degree in music. Did not. Um, I didn't. I did some study, I guess, in college, but I did not substantially study music in university.
Interesting.
So it's all
And
stuff.
one could argue that it's better that you got a degree in business, especially if you're going to be a working artist. Because for so many of us, myself definitely included, there's the artistic and then there's the business, and the shit don't mix well for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. It is music business. It is, art is a business or can be. There's a business aspect to it.
Yeah.
There's music and then there's business. There's show and then there's business. Um,
Right.
and because I have over and over proven myself to be a stand up, show up guy, punctual, be on point, do what I need to do, read the room, play the room, have my
Look good. You forgot look good.
you got to look good, right? You could, the finest of dollar store apparel. You hear me? Um,
Whatever you're doing is working because you are always one of, if not the most suavely dressed individuals in every room I've seen you in.
I thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, again,
Thank you.
that's a decision.
Right.
It's a decision though, because I want to appear as though I have something valuable, artistically to say. I want you to know that I'm about to do something before I even do it. That's going
Right.
to be of an experience, a vibe, as they say, because that's the energy I'm bringing to it. The performance begins before you get to the microphone, you know.
True that.
So that's part of the narrative. That's part of the story for me. But again, having my stuff right. Again, you can't keep a job for 15 years without having your stuff together. And then I got a
This is true.
business. All that stuff matters because I want to be on it. Like I'm ready to go to the next, whatever the next level is. Take me. You know what I mean? And if you don't know that, you don't know. You just think I'm talented and I'm cute, and you just show up and just like that's not enough. It's not enough.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's true. The balance, though, is where it gets hard because I know for me that was always my thing. I always did everything myself, and I was good at self promotion,
Hmm.
but I don't know, there was certain things that I just never was able to like push into. And I've noticed with a bunch of artists like who are really 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 good at marketing and packaging and promotion, it's like the promotion part looks good, the art itself is like and it's like I sometimes I wonder if that's a trade-off
Yeah.
or if that's just smart. It's like you know where your lane is, so if you package it good.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to have that balance.
Yeah.
And I think now this is a time where it's required of an artist to, we're the content we create is our art, but we all have to be content creators, whatever that is. And it sounds terrible, and I hate all these terms, but that's where we at, baby. You know,
I want to talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, you know what I mean. But so it's great to have content, and then you have to put it out. You have to figure out a way, and that really just connects you with your audience. How do I?
Right.
There is someone who wants to hear and experience what I have to bring. How do I find that person, those people? How can I find all those people and get them in a room? You know,
Right.
that's the work, because it's
That's always the thing, getting them in the room,
that's right.
especially since, you know, Facebook invitations. It's like you can get like 150 people saying yes, and out of that, maybe 23.
Sure. Yeah, there's a percentage you just got to knock off the thing, but you got to make it like you have to come to this. This is amazing. All
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's the bane of every artist's existence, getting asses in seats.
that's right.
So, I also saw that you are the governor on the board of the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy.
Right. Yeah.
So, what exactly does that mean? I mean, that sounds amazing. What does that mean?
So there are maybe a dozen. I forget how many chapters throughout this country. But we are the people who, outside of course, the Recording Academy is the organization through which created the Grammy. So that Grammy process, but it's a service organization. So we meet with politicians, advocate on behalf of them, on behalf of us,
Mm,
musicians, creators. So, as far as the lobbying process, we're talking about getting paid fairly. We're talking about the way that we can seek healthcare, other kind of advocacy. So we kind of advocate on behalf of musicians and artists, and I guess professional members who are the people, the publicists, the other people assisting those artists for like
okay.
fair stuff. So the structure of each chapter is, there's an executive director, president, vice president, secretary. There's a whole bunch of people, and then there's a board within that, a couple governors, and everyone has a role. We meet. Hey, we're going to DC. We're going to talk to policymakers about this. Da 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 da. There's this whole system behind, outside of just the Grammy.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're in charge of making things right for the artists.
Yeah, that's what we do. We advocate on behalf of artists,
I
and
like
of
it.
course, we also do. I mean, yes, the Grammy is like the big party of the year, the big like the moment we've all been waiting for. Woo. And a lot of the people on, I'm sure, in all the chapters are hopefuls. They're in the middle of their career or at certain stages in their career, and we all want to be in the room and figure out a way to have our constituents, people on our, in our space, acknowledge our work. Everyone kind of wants that too, of course. So it's that there's that, but we are all people who are here to serve artists.
Okay. Yeah. So who are you listening to right now? Like,
I got
and this can be like albums or like out and about. Who are you paying attention to right now?
sure. Um, I got to be honest. I love silence as much because I'm performing every day. Like I don't,
Fair.
I'm just like I'm out, tap out. I want to listen to ocean sounds and thunderstorms. Um, I got my little ambient music playlist, but there's some interesting people. I stumble on people all the time. So in Philly, thinking about people I know. I love Lauren Talese.
Mm.
This new sister just came out. Her name is Black Butterfly. She plays her. I think her name is Kayla Childs. She plays keys. She sings, and she's kind of more like neo soulish. I guess
Okay.
we call it alternative R&B. We'll call it that. Um, J. Kia,
Oh yeah.
Bliss. I love her. That's my girl. I have Ashley Howard. Like, I know some phenomenal vocalists. I'm like, where you at? I want to go hear you when I'm not doing something. Uh,
Right. Right. Right.
I'm trying to think on the grand stage of life right now. It could be everyone from Georgia Ann Muldrow, and I went to see Erica a couple weeks ago. That was dope. Erica Badu. I hadn't
Mm.
probably hadn't seen her over a decade, so that was an experience. I don't like large concerts.
Okay. Why is that?
I like intimate, spaces. I'm an introvert. And when I'm not on the stage, I don't want to be in the middle of a mosh pit.
Fair enough. So wait, how close to curtain time did Erica actually take the stage?
Oh, okay. So this is funny. There was an opening act, if you could call it Yasin Bey, aka Mos Def, um,
Oh yeah.
open, and so I think doors were like 7:30. I got there a little early. He was on the stage at 8:05.
Ah.
He did
Okay.
a solid, probably hour set, maybe a little bit more than that, which was pretty impressive. I think he was on stage 8:05. Her background singers came out and they started setting the stage, and all the graphic, all the visuals were amazing. I love her iconography, and her
Mm.
backgrounds were on the stage maybe 9:20, 9:25.
Okay.
And it was about 20 minutes of them setting the stage before she came out. So I felt like, the crowd was like, she's coming out, there she is. And it was like 10 minutes of that before she actually came out and said a word or sang a word. But
Okay.
I don't think it was lateness. I think her vibe in that moment, that show here at the Man Center, was anticipation. Just get into my images. Look at this. I got the screen and it's twirling and it's whirling in background, and this band is spread out throughout the stage, and we got like tiers and levels on the stage. It was all this spectacle, and then it was like a trance pulling you in because it was one long ass song, right? One groove.
Mm.
So it was really creating this salivation. It was very salubrious. It was very much like, all right, I need it now. My mouth is watering. You know,
I love it. I love
yeah.
it. Yeah, I would love to see her in concert. I never have.
It's a
So I
spectacle.
want to. I'm sure. So I want to switch gears a little bit. So we were talking about the challenges of social media, getting artists, yeah, artists getting audiences via social media. um Social media itself is becoming a challenge. Like how are you finding, because I know you do a lot of promotion, just not even for specific things but just like just moments. How are you finding the current landscape of social media these days?
I realize that you got to give people something so they know who you are, and then keep them feeding them, right?
Right. Yeah.
So for me, I have all this content. I could drop I could drop clips all day, and you be like, "Wow, you always performing." No, I have file footage. So why not continue to just you got to stay in the flow. You got to stay in the ocean. And yes, that is work. But I find that having some type of a schedule, or maybe just an idea like, I haven't posted in a minute. Let me just drop a clip. That's
Okay.
all it takes.
So do you like post it and then run away until it's time to post again, or do you like, how interactive do you get?
I mean, I do. You got to interact, but I can't live on social. I can't. I'd really physically. It's not enough time in the day because
Well, that's good.
if I lived on it, I have to perform tonight and pretty
Right.
much every night. I don't have time to be up, and then I don't have the energy to devote to that to live up there.
Right. Because it will mess up your vibe.
Right. And again, I'm an introvert. I am an extroverted introvert, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I want to give you what I want to give you, and then I want to keep the rest for me.
Right.
And I want maybe 2 or 3 people in my living room. I don't want everyone in my living room. I'm not going to be the one waking up, hey guys, it's another beautiful day. That's
Yeah.
not me. I'm sorry. I'm never going to be that. I will gladly invite you to my next thing and give you some behind the scenes footage but I'm not using, this is not my diary. I have no apologies
Mm.
about that. It's not my diary. I'm not working out my life salvation on Instagram. I'm gonna give you a clip and I'm gonna leave you be, and I'm gonna come back with another clip, another invitation, invite you to the process of creating something. But I'm not going to unload on the internet.
And we're grateful for that.
No, some people want that, and I'm not their artist.
Right.
I'm sorry. Well, not even sorry.
Are you on Threads yet?
I don't know if I have the capacity, or I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be. I'm not an early adapter, also, so I see it. I'm not really clear, and until I get clear about it, I'm not going to get up there. I don't know. What do you think about Threads?
I like it because it is, I call it asshole free Twitter.
For right now.
At least for now, exactly. I'll take the window because Twitter, oh, I'm sorry, X is a sewer.
Oop, oop.
And, I've been trying to uh, trim my social media experience because I can't be angry before I've had my coffee.
I know that's right.
You
Yeah,
know,
you got to save that first half hour when you wake up and the half hour before you go to sleep. You got to save that for yourself. I don't need the world in that space for my life.
fair. Yeah.
And that's just me, self-preservation and mental health and all of that stuff. I don't want to, unless my actual apartment building is on fire when I wake up, I can find out what trash can is on fire today when I get to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because of the nature of this podcast, I'm always having to check the news. And so that means I'm following the circuit of news outlets and people who comment on that. So in the morning, I'm checking my emails and seeing if anybody's got any gigs or money for
Mhm.
me. And then, I check and see who's interacted with things I've already said. And then that inevitably leads me into seeing that one person say that one thing. And I have this problem where sometimes I can't just let a comment sit there. I have to say something, especially if no one else has said it. It's like, I can't let you think that's right. So, and then here we are. I'm sitting there like angry over my coffee.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That may be your job, though. That's not my job. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you are definitely a bright spot because I can always like you'll show up in the thread and I'm like,
Finally, someone with sense,
right.
right? And righteous indignation. Thank you. But
Hey,
yeah, I realize very clearly what my jobs are, and I don't, I ain't got it. I'm out. And I can only do what I'd like to do as wonderfully as I'd like to do it if I'm clear about what I need to do and leave everything else alone.
right. Hey.
You know, I'm not trying to
Hey,
get into the weeds of this thing. I'm not getting in the weeds.
it's better that way because the weeds can be itchy.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Like now everyone's talking about this damn try that in a small town song.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dog whistle.
That part, you know, a dog that won't hunt.
Hey, Yeah.
And, I'm all about using art as a political tool because that's sometimes just being an artist is a political stance.
Hmm.
But
Facts.
yeah, but I just hate when you're breeding using art to breed negativity.
Mm.
That's just always going to rub me the wrong way.
Yeah. And in a universe where we really create the world with our words and intentions, I'm really cautious about what I want to put out there in this thing.
Right.
And I mean, but it also seems that certain aspects of the industry really promote that negative thing. Like if you're not negative, you're not going to be popping.
Right. Right.
And I'm never going to be that kind of popping because I want to be the other kind of popping. I don't know.
Yeah, it's feeling good when you listen to music used to be the goal. Bringing people together as opposed to, drawing the lines.
Yeah. And I guess that's, maybe that's why I kind of have that throwback energy, that kind of classic but contemporary energy, because I'm still on that. I'm not on the other side of that thing. Um, I want to remind us of how beautiful we are and how all that other the schmaltzy, the nice, sweet stuff. That's what I want to remind people of. I'm not really here for the grimy, dirty, um, as they say, low vibrational energy
Right, right,
stuff.
right.
Right.
Well, I'm grateful for that. So have you found how inclusive would you say you found the overall landscape that you travel through in terms of your gigs and your performances?
Um, that's a very nuanced thing. Um,
I thought it might be.
yeah, yeah, no, 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 yeah, seriously, because there's an element of when people say jazz. Um, I don't know when it happened, but now it is about wealth or access to wealth or a certain level of class or whatever. When jazz used to be old brown liquor house music, right?
Right.
And I don't know when that thing switched over and people use jazz. So what I'm talking about is classism, right? So people are using jazz, maybe not as a dog whistle, but what are they suggesting? It's not always actually jazz. Sometimes it's about, is it classy? What kind of outfit am I going to wear? And it's not that they're interested musically in jazz. It's the ambiance, it's the vibe, and they may not even want to necessarily hear jazz.
What is the scene that this is going to be the backdrop for?
Yes, you know what I mean,
Right.
right? And so can you guys play? They want jazz, but then it's like they want you to play something that's not jazz at all, like some Bill Withers or some John Legend or some whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. So you want the atmosphere, the ambiance, you want the flavored spring water kind of vibe of
Right.
class, but you still want something familiar because people just want what they want. They want to know, they want what they're familiar with. But
Right.
jazz is a way for people to suggest, and this may be a promoter, an event planner, a restaurant. It's a way for them to suggest a level of class, a level of wealth, a level of not those people, but these people kind of a vibe.
Mm.
And so within that, it can be necessarily exclusive. Um, and in excluding of a lot of different types of people. And so when we're talking about inclusive, we got to talk about class as much as we talk about gender, and obviously as much
Mm.
as we talk about race, and obviously as much as we talk about sexuality, and obviously as much as we talk about, um, ableism and all this other kind of stuff. It's such an interesting matrix. And,
Yeah.
and, and so when you tokenize the concept of different types of music, um, you kind of make it clear the types of people that you are placemaking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I find
Mm-hmm.
myself in those spaces often. I do a gig at I was just at John George JG Sky High, John George on top of the Four Seasons up there like once a month. That's a
Mm-hmm.
specific type of room. You like
Yeah, it is.
you walk into that room knowing whether or not you kind of belong or you can fake your way into belonging. And they have a certain way they want the music to be, just to let everyone know this is the kind of place that this is. And you have everyone from billionaires to people who are coming out for a $30 glass of wine or two,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And the way music creates an ambiance that lets people know who is welcome or what is welcome. It's really complicated to think about, and sometimes in those spaces, certain things are more certain levels of this. If we're looking at the structure of class and gender and race, and certain things will be more welcome than other things. Um, Black could be kind of cool. All right, certain types of black, right? Queer, kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool. Maybe certain types of queer.
Right.
And so there's boo 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 boo. You got it's always
Not the loud uppity ones.
yeah. There's this nuance, and life is always about navigating, I guess, acknowledging, reading the room, and navigating what's going to work in this room. As far as for everyone, we are always conscious of what space am I in. Those of us who don't have all the privilege in the world, we have to negotiate everything every day. Every moment is, what am I negotiating right now? What is this room? How do I need to show up in this room? Whether that's conscious or unconscious. And not that it like is debilitating, but we know energy. We walk into a room and know exactly what's going to work, what's not going to work. Who am I
Right.
going to be aligned with in this room? Who's going to be an enemy or who's going to be an ally in this room? Am I actually really, really welcome, or am I allowed to be in this
That part. Yeah. Yeah.
room?
It's funny. I was sitting here thinking of something David Underwood said. Um, I believe the
David
line.
Underwood.
Yes, I love David. I believe what he said was, I f- in. I'm not going to mention where he was at the time when he was playing, but he said I felt like I was providing the soundtrack to white privilege.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've heard that
Um,
quote. And absolutely,
yeah, that.
absolutely. Um,
And go ahead.
no, 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 no. Yeah, I feel you. I want to hear you first on this one. I'm holding my thought.
I was gonna say I feel like that's got to, when you know that's what you're walking into, and it's like, you know it doesn't have to be, but probably is. It's like that's got to irk the hell out of you, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I guess it depends on how sensitive, receptive you are to that. How you're utilizing that moment.
Right.
How do you choose to show up in that moment? Again, you got to have your agenda and your objectives together. And there's a way to be in that space and be transgressive, or there's a way to be in that space and be present. I mean, and maybe the task is to still be present and to bear witness and understand that your presence can, in a positive way, in a necessary way, disturb whatever that energy is. And maybe it's better for you to be there than for that presence to not even be in the room. And so
Right.
there are ways to where you can work that out to make it make sense, or you can just realize this is toxic and hazardous, and I'm not getting anything out of this. It's not serving me, and it is it's trying to destroy me. Let me get out of this. So you got to figure out how it's working, if it's working for you. But there's a way to show up in every place and be transgressive,
Hmm.
because everywhere I show up, I'm visibly black and gonna be.
Right. Right. Right.
And I'm not trying to subdue my blackness, because I really can't, and I'm at the best me when I am relishing in that, and I mean
Mm,
the rich generational, the history, the legacy of all of the things. I'm bringing that and putting that into what I do, in a way that is like, all right, it's unassailable. You can't do nothing with it,
right.
but just like, okay, this is. This is what it is. It's so organic, and because I lean into that, it's like insidious. I lean into it, and even the white people who might not like it, they're gonna like it a little bit.
Right.
You know, and that's fine. But maybe that's, and I'm not only performing in white spaces, whatever that is, but I'm bringing that to every space that I'm in, and you're going to listen to it. You're going to enjoy it, uh,
Right.
and just you can't do nothing with it. It is what it is.
Right. Ooh, I just had a thought. 'Cause I was like, yeah, because white spaces doesn't necessarily even have to be mostly populated by white people.
Facts on facts, facts on facts. This is true because we know that a lot of the times if you any way that you could be oppressed, you could also serve as proxy for the oppressor and present
Mm,
those systems and replicate and enforce those systems on behalf of the system, and you're not even a benefactor or a beneficiary of that system. uh,
right.
and so we just up in the machine, we on the conveyor belt replicating that same thing for ourselves against ourselves. Very true.
Which, in this day and age of being told that, slavery was good because we learned so many skills that were helpful. And these are black people saying this
Yeah,
shit.
I know. No, 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 no.
I mean, no, they're not. But
Yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah. Right, facts. I can't even see. Sometimes you go too far into the brain or lack thereof, and it's just like you're not going to come out well. Just like you can't even get into that. The reverse psychology. Like, let me figure out how you got to that. Don't mess yourself up.
you just gonna hurt yourself.
You're just gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna come out with poison ivy, and don't do that. Do not go into the woods. Okay.
This conversation gave me a rash.
Right. And I didn't even have fun.
That at least when you got an itch and a smile, you at least can justify.
Right. We will always have Paris, but no.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So, have you had an instance where a room was so toxic that you just couldn't?
Hmm. Well, there are places that I've never desired to be in because I detected that before I was even going to offer what I do. And there are places that I could try to be on their list and please, I'd love to work here. I'd love to play here. But thank goodness. I'm trying to remember if I've definitely not in recent history where it's been like
Okay.
so toxic, I just couldn't do it. Um, but I learned to enjoy the power of no or the power of dodging the bullet. And sometimes we end up chasing the bullet that we dodge, which is crazy. Where it's like an opportunity you want so bad, it doesn't want you, and you still end up running after it. And it's like, why are you
Mhm.
chasing your destruction? There are places I could be knocking on their door to perform at, but it's a toxic environment that I don't necessarily want to be in. So I can't do everything. It's I've realized now my function in this specific ecosystem in like the Philadelphia region. I can't take everything. Everything is not for me. And in fact, I got to leave something for other people. And I'm going to expect a certain dollar amount. And certain people need that gig. I don't need that gig. I have this gig. I'm doing this other stuff. I can't take everything. I got to be really judicious about what I do because I need to leave room for the other things that I'm trying to get even higher and higher. And if I accept certain things, what precedent does that establish for other people,
That part. Yeah.
in my wake? So I got to be clear about my yeses and my nos. Um, and I got to leave some stuff for other people. And
Mhm.
I look at like, that's not my gig. Like literally, that's what I think. Yeah, you know what? That's not even my gig. And some people chase these gigs because they just want a gig, and it's like, that might not be your gig. That's someone's gig. You got to know when it's not your gig.
Martha has said many times, some money is just too expensive.
Woo! I know that's right.
And that's a lesson I've had to learn. And I also think of Beyonce, I don't argue anymore. I just raise my price.
Right.
Well, because like I remember one time I performed in the Union League,
Mm.
and I was part of a group that was performing at the Union League. And I was like, let me look around and soak all this in because I am probably never
Never,
going to be up in here again.
never, never, never. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have never seen so many oil paintings of dead white people in my life.
that's right. Right. They just invented people and painted them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No peach paint left.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So, this has been fun. So, are there any what would you like to leave our listeners with in terms of like a summation about you as an artist, as a person, as a thinker, as a Negro? No, I'm kidding.
Right, right, right. Um, I mean, I'm a work in progress. We all work. I think we're all works in progress. But I'm also of the mind frame that I kind of do believe in reincarnation. But I think
Mm,
this is my last time here. I'm going to do everything I need to do, that everything that I have been designed to do, everything I've decided to do before I came here. Because I feel like we come with a decision and then we lose it and we have to find it in life. That's the process of life, is remembering what we're designed to do. I'm leaving here done. This is it for me. This is the last time.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. I'm so tired. Okay. With that said, I'm driven to create and execute the way that I'm pretty clear about in my life. And I'm very happy that I'm clear about it and excited. I'm just like trying to connect all the dots and get to whatever that level is that's going to be the level, um, the ultimate thing for my life. Um, and just I do this work every day. I try to do it every day, um, to reflect that I love it and I'm committed to it. And I know that it serves us. It doesn't just serve me. And I'm here to represent and be a portion of a larger light. That's it. That's all I got.
Mm. And you are that. I am so glad and honored and I feel privileged that I get to see your journey because, even starting from the short amount of time that I've known you, the progression has been has been like, notable, and
Wow.
you're doing the thing, and I'm so glad to see it. And you surround yourself with the right people, you have the right vibe, you definitely have the skill and the talent, and I see nothing but fabulous things in your future.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. I'm
I
just trying
appreciate
to
it.
trying to do the thing day by day. You know what I mean? Thank you for having me. This is fun. Who knew?
Yeah, you now know Full Circle, the podcast from the inside.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it.
And we are honored to have had the time to sit and talk with you, sir.
Thank you. I wish you much success. I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Me too.
Right.
So, Shayne, if we want to, learn more about you and your work, where can we go?
So I'm on all the socials except for, what is it? Twitch? Is it not Twitch? What's the other one? Twist? I don't know.
Threads.
It's too many. I can't keep them straight. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I have actually a website as well. The thing about my website is it has my calendar, which is plugged directly into my Google Calendar. So when I get a performance, I just plug it directly onto my phone. It populates my performance schedule on my website. I keep it that way because I don't have time to be, So website is vshayne.com, Shayne with the Y, SHAYNE. Instagram and Twitter are vshaynef, VSHAYNEF. I post my calendar, update my stuff very regularly. I perform at Eddie V's in King of Prussia and Cherry Hill several times a week. I'm at the Four Seasons in Philadelphia Comcast Center about once or twice a month. This evening, actually, which will probably be in the past by the time this goes live. Um, I'm at there's a place called Lederick Piano Bar, and they just opened recently. I'm there like once a month. I have a few residencies that I have monthly or weekly, which keep me
Okay.
busy, and I'm grateful about that. So I'm trying to get this money.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So, if you have the chance to see the Shayne Frederick perform live, I highly recommend you do it because it's an experience.
I hope so.
Thank you so much, V. Shayne Frederick, and you have a blessed day.
You too.
Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, music, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.